Every YouTuber has an expiration date. For all of us, there comes a day when new people no longer care for our content and go on to look for the next big creator. For most successful YouTubers, this is about 4 to 5 years, unless they are killed off by some kind of scandal. So when a YouTuber far outlives their expected date of irrelevancy, I always like to take a deeper look to see just what they do to not only survive, but thrive on the platform long term. And as I studied this YouTuber, Jacksfilms, more thoroughly, I quickly realized just how much was going on behind that massive forehead. The 3 main series on John's channel are Yesterday I Asked You, parody music video or skit, and the currently retired Your Grammar Sucks. He also has several other series, which, like Yai, leverages audience on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Jack has said himself on many occasions, even he doesn't particularly like Yai or YGS.
Because the others are a bit more formulaic. I mean, you see one Yai, you've seen them all. You've seen Your Grammar Sucks, you've seen them all.
But he seems to be willing to do them anyway, most likely because they engage new fans and the old fans who subscribed because of such content.
I've been getting this since 2008 and 9. I miss the old Jack.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Nonetheless, his skits and parodies always seem to do the best on his channel, but they also take up the most amount of time to work on and thus don't come up nearly as often as the more standard content. On YouTube, there are personalities that are always serious, there are personalities that are occasionally serious, and then there's Jack. It's very hard to get offended at someone who doesn't mean anything they say in a serious manner. Jack rarely calls out people or YouTubers, and when he does, it's either a complete joke or it's in a veiled, sarcastic manner that never gets too serious. Example: while Jack has expressed his contempt for drama channels multiple times, he always does it in an innocuous manner. His Tube News video was a parody of drama channels such as Keemstars, and while he was attempting to make a serious point, it didn't come across as very heavy-handed. In other words, the polar opposite of this.
Right now, there's a problem on YouTube. The YouTube audience is gravitated towards drama.
Every YouTuber will face a point where they have a topic that is especially important for them to discuss. But rather than disrupting the absurd, non-serious theme of his channel, he opts for a creative take. And I think a lot of people could learn from this approach, even myself. So this is why people watch Jacksfilms and thus how he survives. And while having a large fan base is instrumental in prosperity on YouTube, it's not the only ingredient. His remarkable ability to capitalize on novel concepts is not only good for getting views, but also money. The most recent and prominent effort would be his fixation on the Emoji Movie.
The Emoji Movie!
Ever since it was formally announced, the Emoji Movie was referenced in almost every single video he put out. Because he made it so blatantly obvious that he was forcing it, and he was pushing it to such an absurd extreme, you really couldn't get that angry at him for it. And it is more interactive content, it's not really his fault that it's in the video if someone else brings it up, is it?
Roses are red. Stay true to your faith. Emoji Movie releases July 28th. Oh, what a coincidence.
Now at this point, you may be asking yourself why Jacksfilms would promote something like the Emoji Movie. Yes, it's true, Sony Pictures' marketing team gave him some awful merchandise and invited him to the national premiere for it, but he's told us that they didn't pay him anything beyond that, so it must be a complete joke because he has nothing to gain from it. Or does he? Merchandise is always the most awkward thing to peddle to your fan base. You're asking them to drop upwards of $20 on a shirt exhibiting your logo that they're probably going to be too embarrassed to wear in public anyway. But if it ironically has the release date of the Emoji Movie on it, no matter how stupid it may be, there is likely a higher chance of someone buying it than one of Philip DeFranco's ghastly graphic tees.
And today in Awesome, brought to you by the sports shirt. A shirt that says, "Stop, you beautiful bastard. I am a douchebag. Just go f yourself."
Unlike some YouTube channels, Jack doesn't have to guilt people into giving him what he wants. You don't see Jack crying about how he needs people to buy his shirt so he can pay his mortgage. You don't see him brainwashing his fans, emotionally manipulating them to promote his brand either. He just seems to understand the humor and irony-loving side of people much better than any other creator I've seen. Just compare this strategy to Logan Paul's.
Those views are fire, Mom! Fire!
Why are we still here?
I won't pretend that Logan Paul is less successful by and large on the business side of YouTube than Jack, but when it comes to merchandising a brand and getting people to buy shirts, Logan's ideas are pretty terrible. Logan attaches an identity to his merchandise to make sales. By wearing a Maverick shirt, you not only show your support for your channel that you love, but also affirm for yourself that you possess certain desirable qualities such as self-confidence. Now, I'm sure Logan Paul sells enough shirts to pay his rent tenfold, but this only works in a highly impressionable fan base. Even then, there's going to come a time when people just get sick of Maverick clothing. They will no longer buy into its mystical properties, nor will they care that it makes them part of his oh-so-enlightened cult of twerps.
Hey guys, so you guys were here when the fire trucks were here, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so what happened?
So we came here and dropped us off and we're like, oh my god, this is good Snapchat shit.
Given Jacksfilms' longevity, it was nothing short of imperative that he find a way to make money without having to rely on the lack of developed reason in the brains of his fans.
How did your mom feel about like just dropping you off?
She doesn't care.
They don't care.
Like, we've been dropped off at like 12 in the morning.
And I think this skill is most effectively demonstrated in the traditional promotions that follow most of his videos. While every YouTube channel does third-party promotions, as far as I'm aware, Jacksfilms is the only one who is able to transition from the actual video to a promotion while alienating the fewest people possible. In part, this is because the third-party promotions have been memed by his viewers, just like any other theme on his channel. You will actually see people replying to Jack's tweets with the very promotions he uses in his videos on their own volition. Now, this is all very fascinating, but Jack's expertise at monetizing his brand still doesn't stop there. Things like merchandise sales and third-party advertisements are great, but interludes between big trends to market can be long, which is why Jack creates his own. Example, the Me Big Boy meme was kicked off by Jack himself on March 1st of 2017. It simply consisted of Jack on the phone with a telemarketer where every one of Jack's responses was the same 4 words.
Oh, Mimi Big Boy.
Since then, it has been animated and Jack has devoted an entire episode of Yesterday I Asked You to himself responding to every answer with this phrase. Not to mention the episode where he asked everyone to make their comments say the same thing. It should be understood that there's nothing about the Me Big Boy meme that could be considered memeable. It's much more in the vein of random XD than funny. But Jack doesn't care because just like the Emoji Movie, dabbing, fidget spinners, Alexander Hamilton, you name it, there's a certain point where it doesn't really matter if a phenomenon is funny, dead, or even comprehensible. It's all part of the absurdly chaotic nature of his channel. At the end of the day, I think it's worth asking, why Jacksfilms? Why can't another YouTuber capitalize on their content like this? Now, I don't think I could say that another channel wouldn't be able to approach their business like this, nor could I say that there aren't any channels out there doing something along those lines today. But what gives Jacksfilms' character is a combination of a large fan base, his clever ideas, experience, and of course his persona. If you lack just one of these traits, I don't think you'd be nearly as successful. Or at least you wouldn't continue to do well after over a decade. But even for Jack, every YouTube channel does have an expiration date. Even after a great deal of YouTube success, there isn't really much out there in terms of bigger and better things. That's why it's so important to capitalize on gains in the moment. And Jack's devious, albeit genuine methods are really not something I could fault him with. I think the essence of Jack's channel is found rather ironically in one of the truly serious videos he made. This now deleted video explains a quarrel he had with FouseyTube, where Fousey compares himself to several activists. He tells Fousey that he shouldn't be so condescending and narcissistic because, as he puts it, "We're all just assholes talking to a camera." It's the exact title of the music video he would release about a year later. Even though the release was delayed for so long, and even though FouseyTube has become much less relevant, the song still rings true to the core belief of Jack's channel and can be applied to similar and more current situations. But all theories aside, at the end of the day, it is just free entertainment on the internet. All that really matters is whether or not people choose to enjoy it.